And welcome to the latest episode of The Altar. We got me, Matt. We got long hair Ben. We've got long hair Max. And we're on episode 107, 107, I think, is what we're doing here today. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Nashville shooting, the conspiracy theories afoot, quote unquote, and some other interesting things going on in different states in the United States. So, Fem Ben, how you doing?
Estoy bien.
So you're doing good. How about Max?
Mucho buena.
Max, te gusta mi verga, puto?
Actually, you both have me beat way bad at Spanish.
I asked if you like
can't
my
do that.
dick.
Oh, it could be some German
Technically,
for you.
verga is turd
Turd?
in some places.
What's
like,
dick?
but you can call like things verga and like
I
this
can't roll my
shit.
R's though. I'm
And
like the
so,
worst
like,
fake Mexican.
That's fine. But like you can
I thought you were
refer
from
to
Puerto
things as
Rico.
that.
Close talking.
Like
I already ruined the bit.
it's fine.
Ben,
But like
Um,
yeah, I'm Ben.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay, rolling the verga, but okay, it depends on the nationality, right? Because like you could be in Argentina or Chile or Paraguay, and they use a different little slang term,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think verga is really used in Argentina or Uruguay, at least not that I know of.
Mhm. Well, I
think
can give
that's
you
more other
here's
countries.
Mhm. Here, I can give you some German. This is the only German I know, which I've been told is a certain phrase, which is Wickstein Niederfans, which is to say "fuck you, needle dick." To
And there you
Matt.
have it, folks. Thanks for coming.
Yep, that's it. Like my name is Al Avirga in the chat. No shade in the chat. All right. So, anyways, let's jump into this whole Nashville shooting thing. I'm not going to name names of anybody, obviously, for good reason. But so, anyways, Femban, what do you know about the Nashville stuff?
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's got something to do with gender identification.
Yes, it does.
Because of
did
the
you even know there
fact
was a
that you're-
shooting one day?
Huh?
Do you even know there was a shooting?
I suppose so. I mean, I've seen some headlines like on
Okay.
YouTube, but in general, I try to accept what I see for what it is, and
Okay.
and move on.
Gotcha. You don't go like deep dive into your headline like, oh, okay, well,
I
moving
used
on.
to. I don't know if you guys were or have or continue to be fans of James Corbett of the Corbett Report. He used to, well, I say used to, he still does, certainly dig really deeply into the factual aspects and sort of following the money and doing kind of honest freelance detective work just from a point of view of like honest inquiry and wanting to really put the truth out there. But he put out a documentary recently called it was The Media Matrix.
Okay.
And sort of the message behind it was like, what if, the very medium itself, the time that you're spending being consumed by it, and like it's literally taking the life out of you as you like fixate on the events that are taking place, fixate on taking a stance and a position, and having judgment to actually like dole out and say like, well, this was right, this was wrong, I judge this to be fair and good in my opinion, I judge this to be unfair and ungood or bad in my opinion. But you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, that actually makes
and
that makes
Sorry,
sense.
go ahead.
Takes me totally to one of Michael Mouse's points, which is one of the worst things about democracy is that everybody's expected to have an opinion on everything, which is to say, you can't just be willfully ignorant on issues without being a bad person to the majority, or to the voter, right? Like you have to have an informed opinion. You have to be always informed all the time, where it's just like it doesn't actually matter if you're super informed on all these different issues. And like democracy creates this illusion that we're supposed to be informed all the time, when really other people are making the decisions, and we could be spending our time so much more valuably.
Value
Take your time.
Yeah.
It was on here, I think it's a bit.
Valuably. Yeah, I got it. Okay. And not paying attention to all of this shit, and not having an opinion on every single little thing that happens.
Because I noticed for me, like, I used to be like all up in the news constantly, like 2015 and shit. I was just like, I was not happy all the time. But as soon as I was like, yeah, fuck it, who gives a shit? Instead, just like stopped checking the news every day and just like let me go back to enjoy my life. Like, I've been fucking so happy. Like that. So that's.
I don't know who it is that like said this, but there's this quote that like people get the government that they deserve ultimately. And
I think that was Rothbard, actually.
Oh.
Or Hoppe. It's one of those. I think it's Rothbard. Murray Rothbard said that.
Well,
yeah, about about the collapse of the Soviet Union.
I think that it even goes like deeper than that. So like I'm gonna be very frank with the both of you right now and the audience. So I'm just going to ask, we can have a serious talk right now about a lot of things that might change things for you, or it might not. You might like it or you might not, but like, I'll offer you to take the blue pill. We can like chill and make fun of the world.
Hey,
or we can take the red
serious.
pill.
We could
you wanna?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it up.
Okay. So there's a much deeper truth to all of this, and I think that we're all fundamentally aware of it, and it is that we share one single consciousness, that there are not individuals out there really. I mean, there are individual forms, as in like, I don't know if you'd call it fractals, but like, parts of a greater whole that all, in themselves contain the whole. So there's not really another, like the three of us having this discussion right now as individual forms is the story that's playing out. But really, there's one consciousness playing all the parts. People used to know that in the Western world a lot more than they do now. Not that it was like terribly so much, but they used to call it God, and that became taken way, way, way out of context, and which is what ego does, which is what each of the forms that we are does. Like each of us contain an ego. And the purpose for that is for the revelation of consciousness to actually come through and really peek out from the depths of what we truly are and become a window, so that not only can we feel the true light of consciousness contained in ourselves, but we become a window for others to see it as well. And again, these others, this is just part of the story. All of the parts are being played by God, by the same consciousness, or by life, or for those who look out into space and realize just the great immensity and vastness of it. There's so much that goes into, of course, quantifying the physical, more physical forms of it, the more visible, more obvious, more surface, more tactile forms, the more what would you call it? Sensational, the things that you can sense in the world, the things that you can touch and see, stars, bodies of, nebulas, things like that. But there's something that's so much more profound than that, which is the vastness of the space that contains it.
Okay.
We are that space.
Yeah.
Like, that's us. we share one life. And, you know, there's this sort of preconception that comes into play when, you know, ego sort of takes the handle and starts to say, well, it's me. I am this person with this past and these expectations and these likes and dislikes and judgments. And this little structure that I've built, that I've contained, that I've, you know, like I'm amassing all of this knowledge and, you know, like kind of taking it in like a little squirrel, you know, getting ready for winter or something, you know, like amassing all these, all the nuts, you know, like taking all these like quantities of knowledge and taking that and saying, this is me. But it's never satisfying. It always leaves you feeling empty and void, and there's always more questions, and there's always more to define, and you can always keep going, you know, chasing the little dangling carrot, you know, like I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna finally find the place where it all makes sense, and I'll finally understand, and I'll finally be able to accept life as it is unfolding around me, just the way it is, for what it is, and nothing more. Like without the expectation of, you know, having anything added. Just seeing life for what it is and being like, holy shit.
So if I had like ascended, like, so where am I at? Because I'm at like that point. Like I'm not really searching for anything more. Like I feel like I have done everything I need to knowledge wise, like that I really want to, at least. Like I don't feel like empty like I did before or anything like that. Like because it was when I became an anarchist, like that kind of calmed me. You know what I mean? Like I was I was at like a state of peace after I was like, this is it.
So here's a very interesting thing that I've come to notice. So the principles that sort of form the foundation of what we would call, you know, the ideology of voluntarism or anarchy, you know, depending on which label you would rather subscribe to.
Yeah.
But it really all just comes down to the freedom, like the freedom of will. But even more foundationally than that, then the idea of, you know, having the right is the idea that you are free in yourself. This is, I think, like one of the hugest things that is kind of overlooked when talking about, you know, what took place in the Gulag Archipelago. Not that I've read the book, by the way. I've only read just the first few pages and like loved just the first little bit that I got. But being in a place where the surroundings, the circumstances seem to convince you of their reality and seem to convince you of their fixed nature, because that's another thing. Sometimes it seems like because of the circumstances or the people or the external factors around us, we won't allow ourselves to feel free. Right? Like,
yeah, I think one of the things you're getting at, sorry to interrupt if you're talking about, but one of the things you're getting at is that a lot of human experience and human consciousness is about reflecting and perceiving others' perception, in a sense. And so like that puts you at like a really base level when you're just trying to perceive others' perception. It is very essential to be empathetic or sympathetic relative to other people. Yeah, it's like the base level. But
it is.
Once you can, once you develop that skill, then you can go to the higher level of consciousness, which is to feel, or is not just like trying to anticipate, but anticipating and then building up into, like you said, this hive mind where
maybe the word you're looking for is allow, where it's no longer an anticipation of something that's removed from you in some indefinite future, like, you know, like the idea like, oh, tomorrow I'll get it done, or like, I don't know, like maybe sometime, I don't know, like maybe in the next few years, maybe in the next, I don't know, 10 to 20 years, maybe I'll have that, maybe I'll feel that. maybe I'll be comfortable with myself. Maybe then I'll have the peace, and just, a continuous extrapolation or just projection into the future, rather than just, what if you could feel that now? Like, what if everything that you're looking for, that's making you fidget, that you're anxious for, that you're worried about, that you're exasperated for, that you're waiting for, that you want, that you yearn, and that because it's a yearning that's so integral to you, that it would be literally of biblical proportion. It is literally the famine upon the land that is not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water. So the things of the material world are not going to satisfy it. You can have, sexual relations with as many people as you want, and you can accumulate that, and you will feel nothing. You can try all the drugs in the world and go as deep as you want into psychedelics, and still not find the place where you can actually hang on to that connection when you're not actively on psychedelics or psychotropics or whatever you use to get you into a place of relaxation. And that just doesn't go for drugs. It goes for everything. Exercise, food. What is it that, there's something that's in you that is so undeniable to who you are, that yearning for the fulfillment of the legend. And that it's in you, and it's undeniable. And you can, be blasé about it, and you can be like, oh no, I don't really care, and try to act cool in the moment when you're with people, and that if you are honest about what you really want, that you'll be in the spotlight, and you won't be able to hide who you are, and you will be vulnerable. And that is the equivalent of death. The truth of who you are being revealed without you being able to do anything about it, and being an absolute lack of control, and being aware that you are an absolute lack of control, and choosing to allow life to unfurl. That is ultimately what we're all seeking, and we can, deny it, but
That's the thing.
it's the truth.
There's something to go for here, because as you were talking, and before you got to your conclusion, I was kind of reminded me of this thought, where your conclusion went, where I was on this backpacking trip, and we were basically 3 days into the wilderness in one of the most remote parts of the United States, and we were almost half of us had altitude sickness, and we're basically doing class 4 scramble climb down a gully of loose boulders 200 pounds in size, and I dodged multiple boulders that just slipped and fell from not only people above me, but just the wall giving loose because of the heat of the afternoon, melting snow, and releasing boulders. And at that point, it was just accepting death at a certain point. And I think a lot of people, there's something to rites of passage in traditional cultures, where people have to go through a dangerous experience, safety not guaranteed, where you will...
The Spartans.
Yeah, Spartans. Every single ancient culture had this. We are one of the only cultures that doesn't have this. The closest thing that America has to a rite of passage is getting your driver's license.
But here's the thing, though. See,
mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get into just another little tangent here, and then I'll let you keep going. Or you can just jump in whenever you want, really. It's the free-for-all here,
it's
guys.
your show. Ben, your show. Take it away.
Thanks.
Yeah, go with
Thanks, bro. So there's a lot of controversy around the idea of, past lives, and a lot of, ego really likes to run wild with that. And as proof positive, you've got people who, at any given point in time, you've got 115 incarnations of Napoleon Bonaparte walking this earth, or, 200 people who identify as King Arthur, things of this nature. So ego really runs wild with that, but we don't have to look so far. We literally do share one consciousness. So when you're talking to your parents, when you're talking to your grandparents, when you see anyone other than you, even the kids that you see around you, these are other iterations of your life, literally. Not figuratively, not metaphorically. It is you. That's you. Like, I am you, Matt, and you are me. And you know, same goes for Max and Ben. Like, we are one consciousness wearing all these faces. And that's part of the reason why you can't really lie to people. Because it's one consciousness. So if you know that you're lying, so does everyone else.
Well, that's what's like.
Because
the best liars are convinced that they're telling the truth.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say
they're not lying to themselves.
It's always funny that you could you could always tell, like, even like if someone's lying, it's like something like there's a little like something.
Have
in
you
your
guys
brain.
seen Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne? Oh
no,
my god! If you guys want to see
video,
my mom recommended I watch that because she's basically.
If you guys want to see the resurrection of like the best TV that ever was, watch that. You're gonna like it. Highly recommend.
Oh, put
no
on
cap.
The list.
Is that what the kids say? No cap. Did I do it right?
You're literally aren't you like the youngest one here, Ben?
I'm like 25.
Yeah, you're the kid here, so you should know if it's no
okay.
cap.
All right. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter though. We share one life, right? So what is age?
But I
turned 30 in like a month.
It is no cap because of the conscious things. Like I hear no cap, like I understand it, but I'm like I don't know if I'm old, like just because I'm older. Like I'm just like I don't get why you use
I'm
that.
so disconnected from cool that like you are the holiness of cool compared to me. Like anybody standing next to me looks cool. So there you go, guys.
I was gonna make some joke, but it would interfere with the bit that we're still running, even though I ruined it. So I'll save it for later.
Okay. No, dude, go ahead.
No, I was like, is that what you? We'll just ruin the bit. Like, oh, obviously the bits are like already ruined. Like I'm like, yeah. So is that why like you're next to Ben? Like, cause he's cool. That's it. Like he's next to me, so he's cool. But I'm gonna text you right now and be like, I already texted Ben. And I was like, yo, bro, your bench flows on from now on. And he was like, he's like, this is probably like the most intellectual podcast we've done. I was like, yeah, that's why you're out, dude. Sorry.
This is getting deep. I mean, it's for real. So as far I had two thoughts going into your soliloquy here, which I asked for you earlier to go into a soliloquy, and you were just like, now you're like going off. But the other question was not about death of the self, accepting death, and then but the other question is about free will in a sense, because I want to understand your understanding of free will and the ability for you to choose your own path through the world, given that we share a consciousness and that we are all reflections of ourselves, or maybe not reflections, but mirrors.
Literally reflections, like literally mirrors. So the world around us is literally a reflection. So like it's so easy for us as human beings to laugh at the cat who's like scratching at himself in the mirror and like standing and pouncing and then like waiting to, you know, like hit the top of the mirror and try to see if he can get the cat in the mirror. And we say like, ha, silly cat, there's no other cat in the mirror, that's you. But we're going around life yelling at people, accusing them of things, judging them, feeling guilty for things that we do to them years after we've done it. Like we live really convinced of the other cat in the mirror. And that's part of the story that we're living. Like there's no need to resist that story or fight against it, because if I take a knife to myself right now, I'm going to bleed, you know. In that sense, this isn't a dream. Right? We do play these parts, like we really play them. We're actually in the play right now.
Like Lord Tower just says on the chat, he's like, if you think you live in hell, you do.
Yeah, that is literally true. That is viscerally true. It doesn't matter what you're surrounded by. If you're living in an internal hell, everything around you is wrong. It's awry. You can't feel right in your own skin. It's an experience. But here's the thing. So to answer your question, Max,
like little hell on Earth question, just I'll let you finish.
No, but, yeah, go ahead.
My favorite film that changed my mind about life and enjoyment of life and everything like that was Life is Beautiful. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't actually.
It's a beautiful Italian film about some Italian Jews during the Holocaust. And
I've heard of this film.
Yeah, and he convinces this kid in the concentration camp that it's basically like a summer camp, that like they're
a game.
It's a game, and they get to win something at the end of it and stuff like that. And the idea was just like, you can make anything fun if you just have the right mindset about it. Or you can push yourself through anything if you have the right mindset about it. Same thing I was thinking about with rites of passage and et cetera. But finish your thought about free will. Thank you.
So, but it is what you said. It's allowing, so ultimately know that you are two beings at the same time. You are God the Father and you are God the Son. So God the Father is pure, just consciousness, just like blissed out beingness in the world, no resistance to anything, just being with life, like literally letting it pour out of you. It's like the proverbial opening of the third eye. You just pour with light, it just comes out from you, this immense love, and it surpasses understanding on the intellectual level. Intellectually, conceptually, you cannot understand this. It's experienced. It's a feeling. You live it. You literally be it. So the name of God is I am. It's what you say before you say anything. Before you say, I am a man, I am an American, I am a certain age, I am married, I am divorced, I am single, I am whatever label, whatever profession, whatever race, gender, whatever you apply to yourself. You're cool, you're a hipster, you're a goth, you're a freak, you're a nerd, whatever you assign to yourself. Puerto Rican doesn't really matter, because all of those are inconsequential in the face of the truth, which is I am, which is just pure beingness. It's what you say without doing, without thinking, without any outward motion. It is.
It is. Are you still with us?
It is allowing.
Like a Descartes style, like I think, therefore I am?
No, actually, that is the sin that's taking place. So man makes the mistake of confusing himself for the narrative in his mind. The person that narrates this dialogue and says and makes an opinion and no, but, and if, and, wait, no, hold on, I have reservations about this. I'd like to, and, like has all of those comments going on. That is not who you are. That is actually the grave mistake that humanity made. But it is also the mistake that we were sent to make. Yes, it's literally the inner monologue is the sin.
It is. Oh, okay. So,
can we just take a moment to let that land?
Oh no, well, yes, the inner monologue is a sin, but like the inner monologue of like critiquing yourself, my inner monologue is just me. Also, me saying that I'm great is bad in my head.
Well, you thinking that the saying of it is who you are is bad.
But I am great. I'm confused now.
You can say anything in your mind. The mind throws up a million things for you a day.
If I'm by myself, I'm talking about like, so you mean it's a sin if you're talking with somebody and then, but inside your head you're saying something different?
No, at all times, the conversation, the dialogue, the actual speaking to oneself, that speech that judges things as good and bad, as right and wrong, as up and down, that tells you, that narrates, that says that's an oak tree, without actually letting you look at the tree and really appreciate the tree for, wow, like, okay. Just if you look at it without assigning a label to it, because that's how you kill things. In reality, when you assign a name to something, and you take that name, that fixed idea, and you say, this name, this title, this word is all that this is. And that's not true. And you know it because you can't confine something to a name. As I think it's Shakespeare who put it, a rose by any other name is just as sweet. It's about the actual living with the thing. Like, be with it, but without any expectation of what it's going to do, without thinking that you know the answers, without, just no expectation. Let it surprise you.
So
That trust with life is what we ultimately come to reach when we overcome that obstacle of identifying with the ego, identifying with the concept of the person who says, oh, I can be so superior if I tell these people about, the truth of consciousness. Identification with that concept is what is the sin, really. It's the disidentification from truth, which is pure being. The truth of who you are is infinite love. It is infinite compassion, infinite forgiveness, because when you're in that space and you realize that all that we have done has been under the illusion of ego, there's not even anything to forgive, because you realize anything perceptibly bad that anyone ever did, including Hitler, including, the worst people that you can think of nowadays,
Whoa,
the people
what?
behind the
Whoa,
worst.
hold on. What? Hitler?
No, really,
What?
yes, these people, because again, these people are not these people are not separate from who you are. That's one consciousness. So you once dreamed, as did I, as did Matt, as did everyone, that we were Hitler and we did all of these horrible things and we felt all of these horrible things.
Oh my God.
We literally dreamed that.
That's true in a sense that, like, yes.
No, not in a sense. Like, it's literally viscerally true.
Oh, okay. Yes, it is viscerally true that everybody who is genuinely achieved a level of consciousness, who has allowed themselves to reach into themselves and experience the divinity, has seen all sides of e.g. good or evil, if we were to assign it that.
If you are alive, if you can perceive these words, if you can hear what is being said, if you can understand it, this includes you. And not only that, but Hitler did that, and that same spirit that gave life to Hitler is the same spirit that gives life to bald eagles, to Douglas fir trees, to caricature artists at carnivals, to, like whatever. It's the same life. Like, that's the thing. It's not separate iterations and everyone's got a different god and like we've got all these religions and everyone's on a team and we all get to join sororities and yay colors. Yay, like, no, this is not what this is, right?
Yeah.
We all share one consciousness and that's the truth. And when you hear that, it literally like quakes the ground beneath you because the revelation of that is just like, what?
Well, I think you're making a really great point, which is that like if you can acknowledge that you share the same thought patterns and consciousness as somebody like Adolf Hitler or Mao Zedong or Pol Pot or something like that, like we all have the same perception and consciousness and hardware that we operated on, and so if you think that like these are fundamentally different humans than you or something like that, and that you're incapable of evil or something like that, that's when you are lost in this, like, you said red pill blue pill earlier, but like white versus black, good versus evil world, this Marvel universe of like there's the good guys and there's the bad guys and everything like that, whereas like every bad guy every liar sees themselves as telling the truth, and every bad guy sees themselves as the good guy. Okay.
So that is fundamentally true. And moreover, what keeps you lulled in stagnation? Like, what is it that keeps you repeating mistakes despite knowing more than anyone else that you don't want to repeat that mistake?
Skill
having
issue.
more at stake than anyone else, having more concern and more vested in not repeating that mistake than anyone else, and still making that mistake. What is it that keeps us in that lull, in that stagnation, or in that feeling that we're still under the thumb of forces that are far greater? Or, in other words, if we put it in biblical terms, it would be to see ourselves as grasshoppers and to see the world as giants. And, think, oh, the giants in the land, like, what the hell am I going to do about that? Literally.
Well, no, I think one of the best things that you can read in the Bible is that God told us that we are masters of the physical world, right?
We are.
Yeah. And so
And that's the craziest thing. But how are we masters of the physical world?
through our will, we'll
Is it? Because if I recall, there's the Bible verse that says, not by my power, nor by my might, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts.
So yes, spirit, and I would substitute the
What is the
word
distinction
will.
between will and spirit, though? Because there's a huge distinction.
I
What is
guess
the distinction?
as far as the semantic understanding of words, I would need to be educated because
It's not really
I'm
a matter of semantics.
Did you just say
I'm not gonna-
semantics?
It's not semantics, because it's far deeper than that. It's the concept of acceptance. Because by man's will, he will not accept something. He will not allow himself to be living in what he cannot accept. That's when he tunes out. Then that's when he starts drinking. That's when he starts, like relying on any crutch, looking for anything to make him feel better about himself, because he cannot accept what is. That's man's will, and man's will never wins out. Man's will is always defeated every single time. Every single time.
This is
I
a
mean, it might
theological
work.
distinction I've never encountered before, which is because I wasn't raised in a
Max is a
religious
huge
background.
nerd,
I have
so
no-
this is
It's not
surprising
even
for
really
me.
about. It's not even really about religion.
Okay.
It's beyond the concept of religion, because religion in olden times used to really mean like spirit, which is everyone has spirit. That is universal. That is not something that you can alienate from a living life form. So everyone from the person who shot up that school, unfortunately, in that incident, and the victims that fell to it, that's the same consciousness. That's the same spirit. We have to be able to produce, as the sons of God, the word of God in such a way that it will actually save both of these people. How do we redeem, both groups, both the perpetrators and the victims in the world? How do we redeem what is happening? How do we literally alchemize lead into gold? It's not by man's will. It's not by man's will. You can't do it by the trying of it. And believe me, I have seen my own father in this lifetime try so hard against the world. And he's gotten so far. You will not believe how far he's gotten. If you wouldn't believe it if you knew what I knew, right? But
Yeah. Well,
But
I have to
is-
say a comment from the chat before we go too much further. Is that
Yeah, sorry.
John Otter was like, Spirit didn't slap Chris Rock, right? Spirit Will
Here,
did.
let me grab
Well,
something real quick.
yeah,
Right.
so well, those are the states that we go through. What happened with Will and Chris Rock was just people going through the states. Someone going through the state of, I'm about to be a victim, and someone going through the state of, I'm about to be a perpetrator. And we're driven towards these circumstances in our lives when we are alienated from
really
spirit.
quick. Let's talk about the Chris Rock Will Smith thing, because we're going back to like the inner monologue issue of being a sin. Because at first, like for that incident, Will Smith was laughing at the joke about his wife from Chris Rock,
And then she said
and then he
something,
looked over
and
there,
then-
and then he was up in here, right?
Yeah,
And then
you
next thing
literally
you know-
see the change in people's faces when they drop into being in their heads. You can see it. It's like they just something in them gets lost, like their eyes just kind of fade out a little bit. You know what I mean?
What do you think, what should he have done in that situation, and like just ignored the monologue and just straight up like talk to his wife? Like, are you really upset about that? Like,
Well,
get a reaction from her, like actually talk to her first verbally, like what?
So the first thing that might have helped our Will, because remember, Will Smith is just us. So we're talking about ourselves right now.
Yeah.
So be kind, right?
Yeah.
So what would have helped Will was first and foremost to understand that there is no should and should not. Something either did or didn't happen. Things do or don't happen. And that's it. And if we can remain in the acceptance of what is without trying to add onto God's word or take away from it, because that's the thing, like when I say that we're not in control, I'm not having a laugh at you, man. Like I'm really meaning that. To save your life, we are not in control. And so to put any expectation on life that, like, and I know that this is going to get real nitty gritty for a lot of aspects of ourselves out here. When we can detach expectation even from what seems totally unacceptable, that is when we overcome the world.
Okay.
When you can look at something taking place that does not agree with you, and you don't fight it, and you're not resisting it, not just on a level of like a physical resisting and like, I'm going to physically do something about it. No, I'm going to stop, or I'm going to, say something about it, or I'm going to not. It's even on the level of thinking. Because if you're not resisting, and this is in the Bible too, this is what is actually meant, by the way, when Jesus says, I think it's Jesus, I could be wrong,
Jesus.
but I have no authority to speak, so anyone feel free to correct me and fact check. This is open forum, right?
Yeah.
So I believe it was Jesus who said that if you lust after a woman in your mind, even if you haven't actually committed the act with her, you've already gone there. You already went there. In your mind, you already agitated yourself to that extent. What is the difference? When you in your mind are agitating the world around you or disturbing it, or you're letting the world disturb you, you're already losing your presence, you're losing your spirit, you're losing that allowing place, that place where you don't have expectations and life is just this blissed out experience, and you've opened your proverbial third eye and you can just take life for just the beauty that it is. Like, if you guys knew how much beauty there is out there beyond your limited perception, beyond your judgment of right and wrong, how much beauty there is out there, how many lives living for the sake of living and just chasing life for itself, for the sake of chasing, just for the living, birds flying just to fly.
I'm gonna let you know right now,
or fish swimming just to swim.
Since I have 4 children, I see a lot more beauty in the world. Like it helps, It helps me.
Yeah.
Look at this beautiful creature.
Oh man, I got a little tear.
I got past my like early 20 phase of like hating children, or not hating children, but like disdaining children. Because I work
you're
with
out,
kids every
Ben's
single
back
day,
in.
and I like nowadays I see kids and I'm just like, either I'm just like sympathetic or empathetic to the point where I'm like, if I was you, I'd also be crying right now. Like, this is not fair. Or I'm just like, I love your wonder for the world, everything like that. I wanted to share with you all. This is maybe an aside, but I was going to share with you all. I have a dictionary from 1959, which is before dictionaries got weird about
Year my
stuff.
parents were born. Shout out.
So here, I need to put the light on the page here. So will.
Don't go into the light, bro. Not yet. We need you.
Not yet. To express futurity with the implications of intention, determination, or compulsion, obligation. Informal speech to express determination, obligation in the first person and futurity in second and third persons. A question expecting will in the answer. See the note following shall. This is a really cool dictionary, by the way. To express willingness as will you go. To express ability or capacity as will hold a pint. Or 5. Sorry, I should have been reading the numbers as in the number of definitions. 5, to express habit or customary practice as she will talk for hours on end. I'm not saying that in context of right now.
She will, though. Sorry, he.
Am I still here is you're
What?
still Ben, and
Am I still
you transitioned, so we're going to respect your pronouns. So
Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
All right, now I'm going to go to Spirit, and I'm going to show you this dictionary, or maybe I should show it to you right now.
I'm excited for Spirit. I'm excited to hear this one.
The background's fucking with the definition. This is Webster's Dictionary.
Oh my gosh, one of the
from
old
1959. School. Yeah. I love this.
That's great.
I love reading the old school definitions of things. Okay, so spirit. Because like I needed to look this up and just be like sure for myself what is going on, and fuck this. Sure. I should just turn the background off. This is fucking stupid. None. There we go. All right. Not like anybody can really see much of my living room anyways. Okay, spirit. A noun from Latin spiritus, or breath, or spirare, to breathe. 1. The life principle, especially in man, be or the soul. 2. The thinking, feeling part of man, mind, intelligence. 3. In life, will, thought, etc.
See, but these are the definitions of man. And man, ego, you can't rely on ego mind. Like, we've already established that there's a peace that surpasses all understanding. So that is literally a pointer to say, and this is not, again, personal, but ego can make it that way. Ego can make it personal because ego will definitely push back when it sees that it's losing perpetuity, when it's losing tenure, so to speak. And it realizes that it's not the true authority, and that presence actually speaks so loud and so potently without actually needing to use the flourish of words or extrapolate thought to an extent that is extremely elaborate or developed, but that just presence itself, literally just the allowing life to happen and just being in the moment and feeling your breath, feeling like if you can actually feel that without any conceptualization of it, without any trying to wrap your mind around it, because thinking, again, is a necessary obstacle to it. And there's a reason for that. It's the reason why, in the true sense, the pure spirit won't win by beauty, it won't win by strength, it won't win by cleverness, it won't win by, like doing all of these things or identifying as all of these things and diluting things down into these more and more and more and more and more finite and minute definitions, and making everything ever more narrow and distinct and chopping it up. And you can see this in PhD subjects, by the way, like in theses that people will deliver. It just becomes an ever chopping up of things into finitely more small and small bits. And ultimately, the answers, the true meaning of life gets lost in all of that. It's just, I mean, it's a complete dilution of the truth of life, which is now, which is literally feeling air flow through your lungs and
Well,
just
that's
feeling
spirit.
that.
Spirit in Latin is to breathe. And then, but so the third definition of spirit is to will, and so that is the future. Oh man, I lost the page. I thought I had this page right here, and then I moved it. So, but yeah, literally, spirit is a Latin word for to breathe. So like I completely agree with you that like being spiritual is being present.
Yeah,
And to will,
how fortunate, right? That's the answer. Because think about it, like, what is the unifier? Like we keep losing ourselves in all the different ways that we can isolate ourselves from one another and break ourselves down into groups and create more and more walls and more barriers and more barricades and more, just to keep everyone else out because they're so different from me. But that's not really us that's doing that. Because if you have a moment where you kind of lose it, but then I don't know, a couple of days later you come back to presence and you realize like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that was kind of dumb, I kind of overreacted, and like you have that moment of realizing like it wasn't that big of a deal to begin with. When you like allow that realization to happen to you and you realize that it's the whole world over and that it applies in every situation, that allowing, like you're not in control of everything, so allow. And you understand also in the truth of yourself, in the truth, not in the ego mind and the conceptual identity, but in the truth of who you are, you know that this is one life, that it doesn't begin and end with just this individualized identity, but that it's vast and expansive and it encompasses everything and everybody. Like this is life. Everyone plays a part in it. I mean, it's the biggest dream to ever be dreamed, and we're in it. And isn't that amazing? And from that place, you can also realize where it is that, identification with ego can lead you astray, because ego thrives and grows and feeds off of the idea of the otherness of the other. The more different and the more other, and we don't want them, Pink Floyd, us and them. Like, it's the idea that there's separate from ourselves and then there's us, instead of the we all live in a yellow submarine. Like we do, like we really are sharing one single life. There's an opposite of birth, which is death, but life itself has no opposite and contains them all. And that's us. We're life. Like,
can I make a complete aside? Because
sure,
I
absolutely.
was thumbing through this dictionary and discovered that the word sext has existed since at least 1959.
But is it like a root word of like sextant or something? Or is it actually like the same thing that it means in common language today?
It does not mean the same thing we mean today.
Okay.
Which is to say, it's a noun derived from Latin sexta or
Can
aura.
I interject to say one thing? I just thought it was so funny when you were looking up the definition of spirit, and the first thing it says is it's a noun.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
like just the idea that it gets conceptualized into a noun when it's literally like this live living experience that we're all sharing right now.
Well, I mean, from a grammatical point of view, which
right,
is
really, of course. I just think it's funny.
The cool thing about this dictionary, which I don't know if it will show, is there's a table of alphabets and of Indo-European languages in the back.
Okay, that is really stinking cool.
And so I can look up the letters and pronunciation of any Indo-European language and the alphabet for English,
Hey,
Arabic,
what years? Wait, you
Hebrew,
said 1959,
Greek,
right?
Yes.
Russian, or German in here.
I'm gonna see if I can find one of them.
Yeah, this is 1959 Webster's Dictionary. It's actually the concise edition. I wonder what the non-concise edition
Yeah, the
is.
expanded edition.
Yeah. And
The
it's of the
DLC.
this is Webster's New Dictionary this is Webster's New World Dictionary of the American language. It is
beautiful.
It is a gift from my 5th grade English teacher. Who
What's her name? Let's give her a shout out.
Well,
Or his name.
bold of you to assume that it was a
Bold
woman.
of-
Wow.
or his
flows
name.
out, Ben's back
Mr.
in.
Brody.
How dare you?
Was awesome.
Well, I don't know. My 5th grade teacher was a woman.
Flow really
I just
quick.
went right
Most
Flo,
teachers
how
are women.
dare you?
You're right.
That's
How
true.
dare
It's
you?
true.
But you assumed. How dare you? That's all I say.
I'm sorry. It's that internalized misogyny.
I love this dictionary because like I said, I can look up words in other Indo-European languages with it.
That's really sick. I love like the whole just root word, like knowing where things come from helps you like really understand them so much better, and you can see the repeating patterns when they show up in different languages. And especially considering how a lot of Asian languages have also like just taken from English or from the West and just directly borrowed terms the same way that we directly borrow from them. Like, I don't know how much more evidence we really need that we are one consciousness and that like we share the same like visceral experiences in like live. So like it's the reason why athletes can break world records, and then shortly after they break those world records, people start breaking it too.
Yeah.
And why people get taller and taller and taller and more athletic increasingly as time goes on, and like everything just
Wait, hold
gets,
up, real quick.
like,
Why am I not taller and athletic, huh? I'm short. Explain that.
If you weren't
you didn't
if you weren't
participate
an
in
ego
eugenic
right now.
breeding far enough.
If
True.
you weren't
True.
an ego, though, you wouldn't have a problem with your form. You would.
Oh
just
no,
be
I
like,
actually
wow,
don't. I was
this
just
is
being
beautiful.
I was just, yo, girl, I was shitposting in real time. Real time shitposting.
That's fine.
Okay.
I do want to throw it in for the people in the audience though, because like the things that happen in your mind literally happen like that. Like those intrusive thoughts about like I'm not enough, I'm deficient, they literally just come in like at the drop of a dime. You don't even think about it. And I know that you didn't necessarily do that.
No, but
You were
it's
just doing it for the
it's a
shitpost,
real
but-
thing. Like there's like it's like short man syndrome, but like I'm not like that. Like I'm 5'8". Like I don't care. Like I don't
Napoleon
care.
complex, right?
I'm
like
a
short
man,
man,
baby.
powerful.
But I don't care because I'm like, what the fuck does it matter? I can do everything I need to, right? Like I don't give a shit. But I remember I had a girlfriend back in fucking I was like 18. But like her family, her sister's fiance was like 5'4", and they were like get ready, like in like the sister was like 5'11", right, or 6'1" ish, you know, depending on who you're talking. Depending on who you're talking
beautiful.
Depending on who you're talking to, it was beautiful until the dude who was like 5'4", like a month out from the marriage, was like, "Oh yeah, no, when we get married, you're going to stay home and take care of the kids." They were both working people, like they were both career-driven people. He was like, "Yeah, you're going to take care of the kids, and yeah, the jokes you make about my height are going to end then too." And she was like, "Okay, what the fuck?" Like this whole like work, and she was like,
That's
"Nope."
Napoleon complex.
Yeah, and she was like, "Hell no," and she fucking ended the engagement. She's like, "Absolutely not." She was like, I've never seen the side of him before."
Well, that's ego. Really, it all comes back to ego, because it's the same misidentification that produces the mass murderer, the school shooter, the Pol Pot, the Hitler, the Mussolini, the quote unquote terrible people, the greatest evildoers that we've come to know.
Karl Marx.
It's the same, Karl Marx, whatever, Engels. I mean, well, I guess it just, it comes back to understanding that when you extrapolate your power and you put it, like, for example, you can see it happen in children. You can see like the peaceful coexisting, co-creating, open being, and then you can see the peaceful coexisting, co-creating being find another peaceful coexisting, co-creating being, and then there's a fire truck toy, and then we're not peaceful and coexisting anymore because that truck is mine. And it breaks down from there.
Wait, really quick, I'm terrible at pronouncing shit. But Fonzie in the chat wanted me to shout out. You know what? Maybe the White Claws are hitting me. I can't read this. Etymology. Who?
Let's try that again. It's like me trying to say valuable.
Yeah. Etymology.
Etymology?
Logic. It's a
studies?
book. It's Etymologicon.
Etymologicon?
I'm just ruining this point. Well, there's a book that is about it's a long rambling text on the word history, and it's one of his favorite books. And I am just terrible at reading new words, reading words for things.
So what is it? Etymological?
Here, hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna do this.
Just like copy paste it to me like tomorrow or something.
Yeah, or I can just do it now.
Oh, fine. That's great too.
Yeah.
Why defer the moment?
Yeah, it was terrible. I just I always like see shit like I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm like, hey.
Hey, by the way, just a quick question. How are you guys feeling about what we've talked about? Like, are you guys feeling okay? Did I get too heavy-handed? Because
do you know
I can be a little ham-fisted.
No, you've been great. And you know what I really liked is that in the beginning you were nervous as shit, and then you fucking relaxed about 20 minutes in. That was very great. No,
I honestly thought that we were gonna make a podcast that if any future employer saw me in, I would immediately be fired from. And
I mean, it may still be the case.
Actually, a piece of art. I think so.
Oh, bro, like I could sum it up in 5 minutes, so you can still get fired. Don't worry about it. I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I regret being called less racist, Max. I've been working really hard to be called regular racist, Max.
Until your auto corrects nuggets to the N-word, don't speak to me. Okay, because that's what happened to real racist Max.
I don't use it that much. I'm just posting graphs and charts and statistics. That's what makes you really racist.
Oh, really quick. How do you feel about that black hole that's pointed at Earth? Apparently, Max.
What the fuck are you talking about?
There was some article I read that was about like they thought it was some star or something, but like, oh, it's a black hole and it's pointed directly at Earth. I'm like, what does that even mean if it's like out in the galaxy? Like, it doesn't matter.
Quick question. Also for Max, just to tack on to your question, because I also want Max to answer this. Have you heard, I once saw this TikTok video. It must have been like, I don't know, 6 months ago. I could be wrong about the timeline, but it was a video of this guy talking about how as the cosmos is currently being mapped, it's starting to look increasingly like or resembling a human being. Have you heard anything about this to tack on to Matt's question?
Okay, so I'll address your question first, which is to say that the structure of galactic clusters, and that is to say, like the Milky Way is a galaxy. We're within what we call the local group, which is a larger part of the Virgo supercluster. There's the galaxies within the universe are basically formed into filaments, as we call them, that almost exactly resemble the structure of neurons within a brain.
That's pretty sick.
Just off the bat, I'm saying this as an astrophysicist, and this is not
I forgot. I wanted to message you something. I'll probably do it later. But okay, so
that's fine.
there's
Yeah,
this YouTube channel of this guy called Sky Scholar, and then I'll let you get back to what you're saying. But there's this
Yeah.
YouTube channel, this guy called Sky Scholar. He was breaking down, like, using historical proofs, the fact that, like, the theory of relativity as Einstein posed it is completely wrong. Like, fundamentally, like, that he used proofs that were proven to be illogical, and no one noticed somehow. And I was just wondering if that is true, as far, or if you'd be interested in watching this video, because the understanding
I
far
would be
surpasses
very
mine.
interested. I as a scientist who works on so even do you remember when Apple Maps rolled out?
Yes,
This was
I
like
do.
6 or 8 years ago or something like that. Apple Maps rolled out and they
It had like
forgot
that 3D stuff.
something like that. But initially, they forgot to include relativistic calculations for the time dilation between satellites and the Earth. And as a result, if you were using their GPS function, you would find yourself hundreds of meters, if not kilometers, off of your actual location. So to say that relativity has been disproven to a substantial effect. Okay, here's the deal. Like
So it's
Newtonian
like not
physics.
breaking news.
Well, okay, Newtonian physics, like the physics that Isaac Newton came up with in 1700, are very valid today, right? Like when we fire bullets at or artillery, or we're flying a plane around the Earth or anything like that, like, or driving a car. Newtonian physics work perfectly. When we start to launch stuff into space and orbit the Earth, there's just enough time dilation and other effects that, like, yeah, we can tell that we knew since 1916 that time dilation and gravitational light.
Wait, we knew about that since 1916?
Yeah, there was a total solar eclipse in which we were able to see stars that were behind the sun refracting around the sun's gravity during the total solar eclipse of 1916. This
And
is
somehow that just got missed in the mathematics all the way through until recently?
no, Albert
Or
Einstein
did it just,
predicted
like...
it. Albert Einstein predicted it in 1914 that if relativity was real, that you would see stars that are physically behind the sun, according to our star charts, during a total solar eclipse, because the sun's mass would lens the light of the star around the sun, and you would be able to see that during a total solar eclipse because the light of the sun isn't bright enough to block out the light of the star that you're seeing that is actually behind it. And they confirmed this in 1916. So it only took 2 years for Einstein's theory from 1914 to get to 1916 to get confirmed. That people were like, oh, this is awesome. Like we now have a realistic prediction of how light and gravity works in space. One of the additional factors that Einstein predicted was the orbit of Mercury does not work according to Newtonian physics. Mercury orbits at the wrong rate according to just the laws of gravity that Newton would predict, because it's so close to the sun that there's relativistic effects. So Einstein is correct in a lot of senses, but when you get to a black hole, or you get to the Big Bang, we shouldn't call it the Big Bang, it's the cosmic egg. That's what Joseph Lemaitre, the Catholic priest who came up with the term and called it. But the creation of the universe, we have a physics that doesn't compute with relativity as Einstein described it. In 1914, he described general relativity, and 1918, he described special relativity. And so
So I'm not even sure which one of those was actually disproven in the video. I want to be like, I'm a complete plebe when it comes to this. Pleb, whatever.
No, and that's totally fine. I don't expect everybody to be knowledgeable about everything. I would be very interested to know if somebody sent me a link about something relative to
like Sky Scholar
physics.
on YouTube.
Sky Scholar on YouTube. Let me look him up right now.
Yeah, he should have the video. I think it's like 25 minutes.
I'll watch some videos and
It'll do that.
And then you can answer back on the next podcast. There you go.
Yeah, well, Ben's out, so Flo, next episode we can cover these topics. So no worries.
Well,
no worries.
All I'm getting at.
Ben will be back.
The original thing? There's a black hole pointing at Earth.
Oh no, I don't even have the article up, so I don't care. But it'd be funny if that next episode that Ben's on, and then Flo, you just come in, push him out of the way, like get the fuck out of here. No one wants you. Anyways, I'm here, guys. Don't worry.
So I was gonna say, just like a black hole can have powerful jets of synchrotron or other radiation emitting out of its poles, and if it's pointing right at us, then we could get hit with ionizing or higher radiation that would affect the climate and or our health here on Earth. One of the possible explanations of the Permian extinction is that we had a gamma ray burst in the Milky Way that was directed towards the Earth. But I would say generally, it's not anything that we can fix.
Yeah.
So
I'm like,
maybe don't worry about
should
it.
I care about it? Is there anything
we can just be with it?
Is there anything we could tax more to stop this? No. Okay.
I think if we gathered more taxes, we could fix this.
If every taxpayer in America gave me $5, I could fix it. So here's my Venmo account. Send it on over. I'll get it taken care of. No problem. Don't even worry about it. No questions asked.
It'd be infinitely cheaper to line our houses individually with like lead on the roofs or the ceilings.
No. Just give me money. Give me personally.
Okay.
Not the government. Yeah. Me. Give me money. It's fine.
You know, do you guys remember that SpongeBob episode? And I'm sorry to bring it back to SpongeBob, but that SpongeBob episode where
you're out,
Bikini Bottom was under attack from the Alaskan bullworm, and Sandy and SpongeBob were like writing it, and Patrick and the rest of the town knew what was going to happen, so they pushed with all of their might, or proverbially man's will, and they pushed the town all the way to what they thought would be a safe place, and they were so happy, and everybody cheered when they finally got there. And Sandy and SpongeBob got off the bullworm, but it ran like off the cliff and right into Bikini Bottom or something.
God.
So I think if anything is happening, again, like even on a scale of like galactic shit, the answer is still in presence, in being.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately we are not in control, and if you need something large enough to remind you of that, let's try galactic forces. Because if you're not going to take anything else in your life with like the gravity of the fact that it is unmoving, and the fact that ultimately you will learn not to shoot the messenger. You will realize that the people around you, their reactions, the circumstances of life, everything that is happening, it's only reflecting to you how you're feeling. Because of the pain that exists in your life, like 2% of that was real pain. Like real physical, actual pain. And the 98% of it that is killing you is all your own pain added by your ego, added by your expectations of the moment, added by what you think is supposed to happen, and your unwillingness ultimately to accept anything other than what you want, other than to accept people around you acting in a certain way, speaking in a certain way, Like you can take your family, like your most intimate relationships are the best examples of this at work. And I know that like very personally because before, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and like say I had a shift. I didn't do it. There was no doing on my behalf. It happened when I finally surrendered. And that is why I'm able to speak from authority. When I say these things to you guys, it's not coming from a bullshit place. It's coming from the place of truth after having wrecked my own relationships, my own life, my own. And, you know, I had that story going of like, you know, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm going to pull my hair out. Like, what's going on? I don't understand. This isn't how it's supposed to go. And like trying so hard, always. I was like 110% try hard, like all the time. And this was constant, you know, like it was a barrage of like thoughts all the time. I remember at one point I had an experience, speaking as a person, I had an experience on acid where I was sitting on my bed, and I remember like I had the lights off in my room and I was just sitting and like being, which I didn't realize at the time was all I wanted to give myself, and I would only allow myself to do it through the use of psychedelics once in a while, and like I designate the times and try to plan it out, but ultimately the experiences, as enlightening as they were not enough to actually sustain me through life and actually redirect my behaviors, my decisions, or anything like that. And I thought that I had some semblance of control. I thought that I was technically doing the right things because I was like, well, technically I'm doing yoga every morning. Technically I'm meditating. Technically I'm making the time to do these things. I'm eating healthy. I had at a very early age, I made a dietary change even, and it was really reflecting like this huge change that was happening within me. And I don't know if it was all you know, written, because I see it happen now, and I wouldn't change anything. I had a religious upbringing. I had a lot of like strife in my family. There was a lot of separation. Nothing different, you know, from what anyone else really experiences, or even if people have their families intact, there's some sort of strife that targets people at some point in their lives. And well, it was already targeting me at a young age, and I was very egoic already at a young age, and I thought that it was good because in school I was being, you know, put into the gifted program, and oh, this is so great. Look at your very vivid memory. I bet you're going to do great in life. And it's like, no, this vivid memory is horrible.
It's horrible. It's terrible.
Everything started to pile up, you know, past experiences, things that would happen, expectations that I would have of my family, relationships, like anything, you name it. And by the way, like we can stop. I don't want to keep you guys on like forever in a life.
No,
It's
but
like 7:50.
like finish your thought. I got a little
Okay,
something to
okay.
say afterwards.
Okay, all right. So I thought I was doing the right things to try and like fix the mistakes that I knew I had blind spots for at some point. Like I had to know that, because there was something that kept drawing me further and further and further along. And I remember looking at books like Conversations with God and like pouring through them at the age of like 12 and 13. And like while certain figures at the time like Neil Donald Walsh weren't necessarily totally plugged into presence, you know, and there are some technical mistakes in their books that people will point out and say, oh, you know, this means that the whole thing is invalid. And it's like, not necessarily. There's very much the idea of, I don't know, like that descent into madness that I kind of took. There was a point where I was literally like hitting myself physically, and this is not too long ago. I'm not talking about like several years ago. I'm talking about a few months ago. And this change happened. Like, yeah, crazy stuff. So like I talk about it and I can't believe it that I'm like sane enough to even say these things. But so I would really grip onto the past and hold so much judgment, and really specifically try to target something on the outside. I would always put it on something on the outside. It's either the circumstances won't allow it, or the people won't allow it, or there's always something against me, and it's me against life, and why do all these things happen? And like just this constant, barrage of aspects of my life kind of coming together when I try really hard to like build up and patch up the sandcastle, and this other wave comes and crashes and it's all fucked, and it's like, why even bother? And like at that point turning to like utter darkness, and that's the call of the void. It's literally like you get put through it. Like the furnaces of affliction are proverbial, yes, but they're not just myth. This is life. Like these myths, these mythologies that we have, these religions, whether it's ancient Greek, whether it's ancient Chinese, whether it's, you go to the Zen masters in Japan, you can go to the Sufis. Oh my gosh, the swirling dervishes, like the people who've been plugged into this idea for so long now, gurus in India who've known this for ages. Like the idea has always been swirling and dancing around us because, again, it's one consciousness. So if one person on this planet is present and alive and aware of the truth of who we are, that's all we need. And that's insane. Just the idea, like life is coming to life as we're perceiving it. The purpose of our living is not for us to get off on ourselves and become these inflated egos. That's our childhood. That's literally our spiritual childhood. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this is our spiritual childhood. When we make all these mistakes and we stumble around and we confuse other people, the messenger for the problem. And so we shoot the messenger, and we do it constantly all around us without realizing that we're talking to a mirror, Yeah. And it's a wonderful mirror at that. And this is so just flat out here. This is the only truth that saves us. You can't replace the presence of life with anything else. And you can try, and you do try, and that's part of our descent into hell. We're meant to do that. You go through the furnaces of affliction so that on the other side you can come out Jesus Christ.
So again, spirituality or spiritus is to breathe in the present, right? Like just to appreciate and to feel and to experience what is around you and love it, right? Like no matter what it is, like realize that you are alive. I love that. Beautiful.
And so I want to speak to suicide, because this is something very near and dear to every heart. There is a suicide that has to take place.
Okay.
And it does, but it's not the suicide of the body. Because even if you kill your body, the grief that is in you just gets unleashed, and it goes and it flies around and it grabs onto the closest thing to it, which is generally your loved ones or just people who were in your vicinity, period. People who hear it on the news that it happened in their town, that it happened in their school. And, these are all dream concepts still, though. So the first thing that I can share with you that is part of the ultimate truth is that there is no death. We share one life. So no desire, no dream, no memory, no anything is left out of life, because God is literally looking through your eyes. The name of God is I am. And I'm not talking about flow.
When
yourself? You say I am, you say I am me. And that me is our me. The person who looks through your eyes is God, and we are all God. We see literally through the eyes of everyone. Every life form on this planet, in this world, in this dimension, in this kingdom, if you are antiquated, that is us. So when we kill someone else, we're killing ourselves. When we kill ourselves, we're killing everyone else. When we attack the outer world, when we attack the messenger, we're really attacking ourselves. So you do have the option of, going and telling someone like, hey, asshole, whatever, but you're talking to yourself.
We're attacking a part of our consciousness.
Yeah. And it's you can think of it as a part of your consciousness.
Is it not fair to say that some parts of our consciousness need to be destroyed, like the self-destructive, the envious,
here's the thing with
sinful parts of our consciousness? Yeah.
So this is the crux of the suicide that has to happen.
Well, here's the issue with really quick for what I understand of this. The problem is the consciousness is still there. So if you kill a part of that, would actually kill somebody, whatever. It's
you
just
kill the ego,
but
you kill the
what about
personhood.
What about reincarnation of that part of the consciousness?
So we are all one life. So every new life that forms is formed out of the life that came before it, and that's not just in the fixed sense of oh well this couple and so their genetics and it's not just that. It's literally it's not just their genetics. Their genetics don't just belong to those two people. Those genetics come from life. And even within those genetics are vast differentiations and expressions. And even within that is just, infinitely many different things that can happen. Bacterial microbiomes, environments shaping different aspects of who they are physically. There's
when
not just that. It goes
10 billion
even wider.
dice rolling versus 10 billion dice rolling. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes even further because it's all of life. Literally every bit of life that has perceived is going into the new life. So all of the collected perception, all of collected life and understanding goes into the new life. And you know it viscerally when you see a child, like a baby, and you look the baby in the eyes and you know that it has nothing but absolute love and adoration for you. You know it. You don't even have to, saying it kills it. You know what I mean? This is the thing about naming. Naming limits things, because if I were to say baby and I would say adoration and I would say look and eyes, you can find these things, but it's an experience. You have to feel it, feel your heart stop when you realize that this life form has nothing but love for you, and the love that just pours out, you're just wow.
Yeah.
And you can do that looking at a tree. Everything around us is absolutely alive. That's the truth, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
That's good. You're a female. Fembed. Going back to the bit. Fembed. So we're gonna get ready to wrap this up, but there was something earlier about vulnerability you brought up that I didn't want to interrupt at the time, but I think a full circle type beat is that we, as you were saying, we have a problem being vulnerable.
We do.
We have a huge problem with that. So obviously, if we all as a consciousness were able to accept, to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we'd be at a better place mentally for it.
It's not just a mental thing. Like I said,
well,
the
mentally
world
and
is
physically.
literally a mirror. Yes, mentally, physically, on all levels, whatever stratum, if you will, you want to take, it's happening on all of those levels.
Yeah.
It's an integral experience. When you surrender in your heart, and maybe heart is not the word for you, maybe it's just inside your body.
In the depth of your body, if you let it
in
flow
the depth
through,
of your body, it's you be there completely and you surrender to what is. It's literally the space of not thinking. And here's the thing, you don't have to fight your thoughts. You don't have to stop your thoughts in order to do that. You can be with your thoughts and look at your thought and say, oh, that's a thought. And that's with complete neutrality. You're not going to either take away from the word of God or add on to it. You're not going to either say, I want to get rid of this thought, or chase the thought and continue to where it wants you to go. That's chasing the dragon. And that's, I really mean that for anyone who's gotten through any kind of addiction. Chasing the dragon is literally chasing the thought and surrendering your power, your ability to be present in the moment and accepting what is and being with life, not fighting it. It seems like that would be the opposite of what mankind tells you to do. Because if you go to men, they tell you fight, try, work harder. Maybe if you put in 20 years, you can get a good pension and, and they'll tell you all these things. That's literally giving away your power. Your power is in the surrendering to what is and seeing what happens and knowing that even if, you have that reaction, you don't have to follow the reaction to where it wants you to go and make it into this huge cloud. It's ultimately nothing when you do that. It's a whole lot of nothing. It's literally Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Like, that is ultimately, this sound and fury signifying nothing. So it just comes to the being. And the suicide that happens is literally the death of the person, death of personhood, death of expectation. You expect life to have any sort of treatment with you. You expect that things should be given to you. You expect that people should behave a certain way. You expect that anything should be anything. Know that you are expecting that from yourself. And you feel it when you're suffocating other people.
I feel
weird it when you suffocate yourself.
About this conversation, like, I don't feel like any of those ways. I don't know if that's like weird to say. Like, I don't feel like anyone owes me anything. Like, I don't expect people to act a certain way.
You might be in the bliss of parenthood.
Maybe.
Like, you really might be.
No,
and that is, like, so truthful.
I was, like, even before, like, for the longest time, like, I didn't expect anything for, like, not in a bad way, right? Like, I didn't expect, I didn't expect people to just give me things, or, like, expect, like, if I did something for someone, I wasn't expecting anything in return for, like, the entirety of my life. That's, like, how it always been. Maybe kids, like, if in my life...
Maybe you've already learned that lesson.
Maybe when I almost fucking... Well, I used to be, like, angry a lot. And then, like, I almost, like, accidentally killed myself. And maybe that was, like, the defining moment. Like, hey, maybe I should back off and just chill a little bit.
Cool the jets.
Yeah, cool the jets. No, did I show you guys these fucking scars?
Gnarly.
Yeah, no, not you, Flo. But Max. Like, I got that one, and I got this one. Right there.
You say accidentally, like, what were you doing?
No, I got so fucking mad at work because the person in charge of shipping was being a bitch. I'm like, hey, is this freight company coming today? And they're like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to do this other stuff right now. I'm like, it's literally your job. Right? Like, I mean, they were at a different office, right? Like, it was a different office. So I called them to ask them about this, and they're like, well, I don't know, like I'm in the middle of something else right now. I'm like, well, this is important because I need to know if I need to dedicate my time to this or something else. So you need to let me know. And then they hung up on me before I even finished the thought. So I was like, did you, like I was talking to myself outside my body. Like, I literally said the words out loud. Like, did you just really fucking hang up on me? And there was a door in my office that had plexiglass in it, and I slammed the fucking door, and nothing like popped out of it, and I was like pissed that nothing broke, right? So I'm like, fuck this, I'll push it out with my hands. I'll break it out with my hands. So I went up to the fucking door and put my fucking hands through it, and then next thing I know, there's blood fucking spewing out of my arms, and I'm like, oh, that was real glass, not fake glass. So I had the fucking other guy next to me. Like, I went and grabbed shitty, dirty gloves to fucking cover. Like, I was like literally, I was super deep in this one arm, like almost to the bone. Like, that's how deep it cut. This arm. the other arm like was just like they both hit like an artery, like they nicked an artery. But like I fucking grabbed two like shitty gloves, like cotton gloves
To stop the blood.
Yeah, to stop the blood. And I held it over. I'm like, yo, man, you got to drive me to the fucking hospital right now. And the hospital was like 15 minutes away. So on that journey, I am looking up to the sky, and I'm like, it's a beautiful day, and today's the day I'm going to die. But I didn't die, and I had a newfound appreciation for life after that day.
That's pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
And that's not
Linda Love in the chat's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was an angry guy.
that's really not unmitigated. Like that really is like, there are things that can take you to the point of acceptance if you allow them. And those are the most ugly situations in life. And that's the point where you can choose to alchemize yourself and realize that God lives in you, and that you do have access to that connection. Or if God is not your choice word, then we could use Allah, we could use Krishna, we could use Brahman, we could use Nirvana. But Nirvana, heaven, the kingdom of heaven, or the dimension of absolute peace and harmony with life, it's in you. Like, really, truly, it is in you, and you have access to it at all times, especially when the mind will jump in and try to trick you and say like, oh, I can't be present, I have too many things on my mind right now, I have to do something else, I can't, I've got to fidget, I've got to do something, that's the mind playing tricks on you. And again, realize the mirror with which you're interacting, like acknowledge it. And when you see it for what it is, when you realize that the peace that lives in you is the peace that lives in the world, and you don't have to reach for it, you don't create it, you don't command it, you don't have to try, there's nothing that you do to earn it. It's already there if you just let it be.
Let it be.
Let it be.
Let
Like,
it be.
really. Like, allow life. Allow it. And, like, just take a breath. And even your own body can bring you to that place of awareness. Like, just...
Yep. And I think
Like,
that's a good point to end on. Just allow your life, just allow it to be. Life will bring you there. So, Femben Flo, thank you for coming on tonight. Max, thank you for being a nerd as usual. And
Namaste, you guys.
And again, thanks Flo for. I have to go change the entire description for this episode now, but it's fine. I appreciated this conversation more than whatever the hell.
No, honestly, like, yeah, change it, and people will watch this shit way more than like
hell yeah,
shit posting about fucking random events.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of articles loaded up, like related, but that's for next week when Lame Ben's on. Terrible. Hey, you know what?
Poor Ben.
Flo, make Ben. Ben makes $5 extra an hour now, so he could build you a computer so you can just stream with us from now on.
There we go.
Like Shay in the chat's like, oh, is Flo? Love you, man. All right. Thank you,
if
everyone.
you will, we'll go with I don't know if I'm supposed to adopt a spiritual name now or anything. I think I'm not going to choose that route. I'm still just going to go with Flo, because the answer to my life was literally written on my forehead from the get-go. So just Flo. Yeah.
Just Flo. All right. Well, everyone.
I mean, as far as my insurance goes, like, yeah, it completely aligns. Like, what I seek for in a dire situation. Flo from Progressive Insurance.
There you go.
Not a sponsor of the podcast right now, but could be.
They will be.
We'll get there.
They will be.
We'll get there.
So, well, everyone, thank you for coming out tonight, and we will catch you next week.